I think we're gonna. It's meeting.
8:31 and we'll call the meeting to order. We're getting started a little late due to some technology and issues, so first we'll start by reading our mission statement. Lewis County Economic Development through its board, the IDA, and its brand Naturally Lewis are championing the growth of the community where people want to live, work, build, business, play. We foster forward thinking and relationship building, connecting people, businesses, partnership, and resources to effectively and efficiently grow our county. All right. First up, I don't believe we have any which of the floor. So Kaylee sent out the meetings or the minutes from the December meeting last week. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Any questions or corrections or anything? All right, do we have a motion to approve the December 1st minutes? For second, Darlene, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Financial reports for November.
We didn't have a finance committee meeting in December, so we do have the list of expenditures for the month of November. Obviously, the biggest one being the purchase of black property, high post property, the LCDC. And then a lot of the bigger ones, or I guess all the bigger ones are related to the CDBG One Chelsea grant program. So those are money that comes in and then goes back out, so it's an expenditure, but it's money wash for them. So that's just kind of for this group's review. Usually the finance committee had a meeting, would review that in a little bit more detail. Questions on that before we move on? You know, is looking good. Only two items I wanted to point out, just in case they jumped out to you. On the 3046 other income line, we've got about $9,000 of CDBG money coming in, and then you see it go out down below in the expense, 900 or 9,000 CDBG grant line. So most of that 9,000 is grant money coming in and then going back out. The only other thing I wanted to point out, this is roughly 6 months through our fiscal year. Our total income line is 130% of budget, so we're trending well above where we're budgeted to be at this point. And down below our year-to-date budget at this point of the year should have been a negative 111,000 per budget versus the positive 96,000 we're at. A lot of that is IDA fees on solar projects, but still a really good thing. Questions on the profit and loss? Move on to the balance sheet. Notables there being the significant change in the checking savings line, most of that being the purchase of the High Falls property, but then you see it hit below on fixed assets increasing by $200,000. So our position changes just slightly, we're just a little bit negative, but I'm completely comfortable with where that's at. Questions on that?
I guess I have a question on that $30,000 natural. shut down their deep roots, so I was wondering if that's affecting their finances.
Yeah, no, that gave them a good outlet for a lot of their projects or products. They have plans to open that in some capacity back up in the spring. Winter is slow for that outlet. So I don't know if we'll see it at that location or if we'll see it in another form, but they do plan on opening that back up. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Any other questions on financials?
Any questions? All right, if there's no questions, we'd take a motion to approve the November financials. Second. For all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. All right, moving on, items for approval, the first one on the list is the Turn Highlands Lodge and then the guest here.
Yes, this is Caitlin. So you want to talk about the project?
All right, so I started on this project 2 years ago. I tried purchasing the old motel in the village of Turin. The owner decided to back out and not sell, so I decided to take some of my family's farmland that's on the west road, just down from Snow Ridge, and take that back and turn that into where we will have our Turin Highland Lodge LLC. I plan on breaking ground in the spring. Hopefully, we're shooting for 6 to 8 months of build time and then open by fall. Hopefully, if everything comes in like it's supposed to and goes smooth. It's gonna be 6 rooms with an office and a laundry area. Each room is gonna have a small kitchen in it, like a sleeper sofa, a little dining table, 2 queen beds and a bathroom, and it's all gonna be handicap accessible. And then a front and rear entrance to each room. Big enough parking for snowmobilers, 4-wheelers, whatever anybody needs. Also, like if they wanted to keep their trailer there for like the season, there's gonna be plenty of area because it's like 21 acres it's gonna sit on. So there'll be plenty of area to house parking and leave them there for the season. We hope to do like events. Our family is really big into like the lawn tractor pulling and truck pulling and we're rednecks, but we like to do like fun stuff like that. So we have a lot of money invested into those projects also. So we kind of wanted to bring it back to the community. We used to host an event at the Turin Fire Department every summer, and we just thought it'd be really cool. It's always a really good event. The truck pulling and stuff, to bring it back, do it at the fair once a year, but we thought about doing something like that to just try and help the community and bring people here other than winter, I guess, is a big thing we wanted to do. It's basically gonna be myself, my mom, my dad and my husband will be helping out also, but we're gonna try and keep it in the family, maybe have a couple extra people help out, but I wanted to move back home, and this was my way to move back home and raise my daughter. And yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
You have a contract.
Yep, I have Evan Kiefer, he's all lined up to do the build spring. Yep. We have Bernie Ward to do our foundation.
We held the public hearing. December. And, you know, act obviously. So no public comment on the project. Obviously, I want to reminder, you guys have seen this a couple months ago when we did the initial resolutions, but we're looking at a pilot sales tax exemption and a bulk reporting tax exemption. And this is kind of our priority schedule for our pilot, because it is lodging and it is things that we've identified through multiple avenues that is needed in the community. So not much has changed since we saw it last, except that we know that the community is not violently opposed to it or anything, so. What we're looking for today is a resolution, a seeker resolution, so that would be to adopt the seeker process and seeker determination that the Turin went through, and then final resolution to move forward to the benefits.
Kevin's not. There he goes. Kevin, can you hear us?
All right, I was on mute. Yep, I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So Kevin was able to send us the revised resolution last night. But are you combining the seeker, like adopting the seeker resolution within this final resolution?
Yes, because we don't have to make a separate seeker finding. We just have to adopt the finding that was already done by the village.
Okay. So it's just one resolution that we are approving today.
Right, it was, I think the other one was, where was that, in Port Lyden or something, where there was no review board, so we had to do the whole seeker process ourselves.
Yeah,
But in this case, it's the village has already done it, and we just adopt their findings, so it's a lot simpler.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a roll call on this?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, any other questions? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the, resolution. Second, or any discussion? All right, roll call, Darlene,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Herb,
Yes.
Joe, yes. Goggin excused, Jessica excused, Mackenzie excused.
Kevin will get all of it.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great
you
to
for-
have the,
No problem.
Being persistent.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlin came in as a DBA client like a year
Had her go.
ago. So
Yeah.
you've done a lot of work to put your business plan together, get the financing.
Yeah, yeah, and just waiting for, the bank's just waiting for the appraiser to come. He was supposed to come a few weeks ago, but we got that bad winter storm and so it got pushed back a little bit, but that's all I'm waiting on now is him to come and check the land and make sure the land is, up to the quality and standards, that it's true ag land and not swamp land and everything.
Great.
Good to go.
So Turin was a recipient of the Launch and Sea grant, but unfortunately with the rules with the state and federal, because it's federal funds and funding through the state, they were going to require like USDA soil sampling and just crazy environmental for a $20,000 grant. But we were told that once the construction is complete, then you can come back to,
Yeah.
like, if you need more furniture, fixtures, equipment.
Sure, I'm sure I'm
Yeah.
forgetting something.
It's just because it was a new project, a new build, they're like, oh, this grant is part of this.
Yeah.
$1,000 project and a new build, we need to do all this environmental, even though your project's already been approved.
Yeah.
Very annoying, but so yeah, in the future.
I'll definitely be back.
Come on back.
and where's the, is it close towards turning from?
Yeah,
Small Ridge or-
Like if you drive past Norwich would be on your right, it's, I don't even think it's a quarter of a mile up the road on the left-hand side.
Okay,
Yep, there's like a bunch of houses.
yeah.
And then there's a big wide open cornfield
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's where the big, yeah, if you ever drive by, you'll see like there's dirt moved around and. Yep. Yep, and
I
then,
might comment that, I don't know, I can't remember how long ago it was, but they brought it to the Turin Planning Board.
yeah,
We approved it, no problem, and I'm very familiar with the piece of land. so
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
Not,
so,
not a problem.
yeah, we did everything with the village and the county and.
Is it within the village?
Yeah, it's right within the village limits.
Yeah, well, I knew that street.
Yeah,
there, so I
it's,
figured
um,
picturing it as.
My
being in
side is
corner.
the village and then if you cross the street, that's the town. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly where it was gonna fall, but yeah,
Is there zoning in, does,
Oh, yeah.
does village have zoning?
yeah.
Well, we have districts.
I'm sure, yeah, I was gonna say for the town.
I'm not sure, do you remember what district it's in? I mean, depending on what district our zoning and the planning board is. It depends on how much road frontage you have to have.
Yeah, plenty of space and they said, you know, might have to move it, you know, 100 foot this way or that way, and there's plenty of space, so. Cause we're also in the wellhead district there, so that kind of dictated where the building had to go, cause the water tower is right like this.
So you'll be on the water.
No. No, the village water doesn't move all the way around yet, so they're looking into possible grants to finish it, so we'll be on a well, but once, if there is ever village water, we'll connect up to it. It stops like 2,700 feet before our property. So it was a lot of money to get that, it was like $250,000 to get the line to go from there to where our building would be. It was just not feasible at that time. It's like the well and. The project was already a lot more than we anticipated with the inflation of everything, so we had to make sacrifices in not being the water system. Hopefully something that will be running through the front yard, so.
You worked with they too.
Yeah, yes, I've worked with Michelle, she's very, very patient with me. But yep, I have their approval and they're gonna help fund a lot of my project with community banks. Yep. Thank you.
You're
Right?
welcome. Stick around, but you have to feel like you
Thank
should.
you, yeah, I'm gonna go spend the day with my daughter, so. But thank you guys for everything.
Yeah.
If you need anything,
We'll be in touch.
reach out.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Alright, so next on the list is policy, the new policies / policy updates.
Yep, so if you can recall after our last board meeting, we held a governance committee meeting to adopting these policies, so the video conferencing policy is a new policy. And a new policy that IDA is gonna adopt to allow people to attend and vote remotely through Zoom. It's be a very unique circumstance. But looking to get this policy approved and property disposition policy, we're just adding that one statement that talks about assessing the economic development impact, community impact when selling properties. So we had a pretty lengthy discussion to get these approved, adopted.
Questions? So we'll start with the video conferencing policy. Motion by Darlene, Second, for any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, thank you. All right, the next one is the property disposition policy. These were all sent out last week, but if you have any other questions or comments.
We didn't make any changes to this for.
Not since the governance meeting.
I don't remember what changes.
There was. No, why is it not showing up? Okay, it's not showing. So under section 2. Fifth one down, assess the economic and community impact of still single such property. Prioritizing disposal of properties within the next business development opportunity, job creation, and tax base and impact on properties. So in other words, not selling the property to just sell the property.
Motion by Darlene, second, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, thank you. All right, the next thing was, shared with, was finance committee or the
Yeah.
whole board?
Finance committee.
Finance committee, had some discussion around, some office improvements, for the current office we're leasing, which is, within our lease agreement, it's, stated that, we can work with the landlord, towards, any, improvements that better meet the needs of the organization, and that the landlord would be the contractor for those improvements.
Yeah, so we've been talking with our landlord, Mike, for a while, and just doing some upgrades to add a couple of more offices to accommodate our growing staff and merger and, you know, Jenna comes back from maternity, she's going to need like just her own space. So I did include a proposed office layout, the current office layout, and then the proposed one is really high quality blueprint. So yeah, Christy's here, her office is very long and kind of awkward, so it can be. We're essentially gonna make that section longer and split it up into 3 offices, but Kristen will have a new office, Jenna will have an office, and then we'll have a separate, an extra office for potentially a future step for her. Since the estimate is over 5,000, we did take a look at our procurement policy. Essentially, we would have to get 3 bids, but to get around that, we took a look at our lease, and the lease says that if there are any alterations to the office, it needs to be with the contractors themselves. So that covers the procurement piece.
Meaning heat contracts.
Heat contracts, yeah, so.
The lease, so it says.
It's
Heat contractors.
Yeah.
Unless we felt this was really out of line.
Does this go toward RMAP, or this is just in completely separate?
This is gonna be separate. And in our contract, I think Joe had a question via email about, does it affect, like, if we were to ever purchase this, that, would that increase the price? But in our contract, there's set 80,000 if we were to ever. So 89. To buy a building. Again, we don't know anyways.
but it doesn't affect monthly rent because it's.
Right, and the question we had raised was would they view this as an increase in value that? Because if we ever did purchase a building, essentially, we wouldn't want to double pay for the upgrade and then pay a higher value, but since we have in the agreement a set sales price. This won't affect that and it won't affect our rent, it's a.
With that agreement, that lease agreement, how many years is that?
It's every year.
So every year, they could change the value.
They could, you could not say.
I know we've talked before about. But, good location, liking the building. At what point do we talk about purchase and is the owner interested?
The owner is definitely interested in selling. We've gone back and forth on whether or not we should do the project or partner with a developer to do the project. We do have a developer that has merged through the Blankfield School Marketing, who is very interested in our building, is gonna give more analysis on it. And who would partner on the concept that we're looking for, so using that second floor as larger mixed use meeting space and then smaller offices to rent to entrepreneurs, other agencies. But, we have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of the IDA owning and doing the project, like the cost to the project will be different. Because we have to follow the page whereas development doesn't. Yeah. We would love to kind of own it and control it, but also we are a very small staff too. And I need to be able to manage that project and also do originals. So,
forgive me, because I'm not real estate savvy, but with a developer, the developer would actually purchase the property and then they would continue the lease.
yes,
Yeah, so we get to really sharpen the pencil on a long-term lease costs versus paying a lot more to do the project ourselves. But Dan has sent some stuff over to us. So, we've got more to look at.
I think it just has to meet our vision, like, the developers, they are gonna, it's an income generator, right, so. Like a question I have is related to like the meeting space upstairs, is there, what could we kind of expect for like a rental fee for that space type of thing? Is it gonna meet our mission and be a community space that could be used, or is it gonna have a significant rental fee to use it, which, maybe doesn't really meet our mission for, that space being available to the community. So those are, I think, type of questions I have, that we'll have to talk about it, what the developer is willing to do, and partnering on that vision and versus what it would look like and flexibility with it had if we did, and versus the cons of us and stuff like that. Frankly, this building is kind of run into some of that, like, it's frankly, sometimes a bit of a nightmare to try to do stuff here. Because of the way JCC has decided to operate it, it's not quite the community space that was maybe envisioned being. So I think, just. If we look back at what we were trying to do when we were at the former Climax building. And, obviously there was a lot of space there and there was, rental lease opportunities, subleasing, but then at the same time, it was just a nice space that, benefited our organization and the broader community. So,
Your point brings up another question, talking about I don't know if we pay to use this space. We don't, it is open, as long as that continues, that makes total sense, but when I look at the renovations. Any consideration for taking the meeting room and making that 2 offices and taking Kristen's former office and making it a larger meeting room. I'm not trying to like put a wrench in any plans, but I'm hearing.
Yeah. Issue with the meeting, like, we need to have some sort of private meeting room, but like they're so skinny and
Yeah.
long. And it's, if we were to make it longer, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah.
I think with my office, we would say. So like, to put a table down the center of it, now you're scooping behind everybody to get to your seat at the table, because I think we did think about that. Yeah, I know this blueprint may not show.
Yeah, and they're 8 foot on the other side of the hall too, because my office is 8 by 8, so they're not.
It shows it's more rectangular.
Yeah, it's more like an
Oh, I know exactly. But that's why it's going up.
Yeah, no, I just.
Feel is not good.
It's not very.
Yeah, the bummer about both the meeting room and executive office is that the lighting is bad. They have beautiful, supposed brick walls, but terrible lighting, so I have to address that regardless of the site.
Lighting is in. Is that right, Kristen? Yeah, so I think as far as owning the building or partnering with a developer, I think. On a positive note, in our lease, we first right of refusal, then we're condo landlords, if we want to buy and turn this whole thing into apartments, we can. Say, okay, no. So either way, if we're partnering with a developer, it's gotta make sense for us and the developer. In the meantime, we just need a little bit of restructuring of the office. And they will fit it in on a weekend and evening, so it'll be done.
And there was support from the finance committee for moving forward with this.
I've had like work from my personally, me, he does pretty quality work, so I think that's.
Any other questions? So we have the bid is 6,300 even. So we can look for motions. I don't know if we want to say not in an amount not to exceed the bid price.
Maybe this is the difference.
No, it does not. I just wonder, yeah, like.
Basically just changing some walls. So.
It's weird. Yeah. Switch.
That's what I mean.
Someday,
That seems really.
someday if you do the complete project. Wiring. Switches, weird places, all weird things.
All right, so we have a motion. Second from Darlene, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, and then finally, our Trinity Ave Brewery building.
So Brittany and I have been talking about Trinity Ave building for a while. We own it. Kind of a lease with the option to purchase agreement with right now. But we really haven't done any maintenance or anything to the building in ever. We did pay to repair a drain that wasn't working. About a year and a half ago. But it doesn't look great, and haven't had a blessing that's been super motivated to make a lot of external improvements. So this has been kind of on our ticker anyway, and then with SKU looking to sell. And transition their agreements to a potential new brewery, the new brewery wanted an inspection to see what they were getting into, and we thought that was more than fair. So I met with the inspector when he was there. There's a lot of general maintenance stuff, like the windows could definitely be replaced, they're old. Some soffits missing, some, little things, little nothing things. So that was kind of a no-brainer. There's areas that siding. Doors were changed and siding didn't get replaced to match up, so it could look nicer. Those things, I think those are kind of no-brainers. We should do that, make it better. The big thing that was identified, there's a couple breaker boxes in there. Or circuit panels. SKU has added on because they were doing some other activities in there that required more power. We knew that happened. That was done well. The original panel box has got some issues. That really, if we're gonna transition ownership, I think we should address. So we developed a scope of work to address everything. And we'd like approval to put out to bid for a contractor to come in and really shore up the building and make sure it's something that's safe to transition. A lot of our past agreements on any of the properties we had read really funny because the whole document would be, boilerplate stuff. And then the section on as is was all like capital bold letters. And obviously you need to protect yourself, we need to protect yourself, but we like to transition a building that's in good shape. So that's what we're looking for, is just approval to go out to bid for the improvements.
Are we still, is there still forward movement with SKU selling?
Do you have an offer from anybody on this building?
It's not a formal offer yet. We've been working through the process of trying to identify what the value of the brewery is more than anything. I think ultimately we probably want to get an appraisal on the building. Because the price that it's written into the agreement with SKU, I'm sure the new brewery's gonna want to verify that as all those agreements transition and how they transition. Just ensure all that stuff is where it should be.
So will the sale of the building be pending until this work is complete? Or does it hold it up?
Well, I don't think he wants to buy
No, I think it'll be
at this point. It'll be like a transfer of the current agreements. So what we're gonna do is, we're essentially gonna provide them with our proposal to agreements. And we'll have the finance committee review them next week if they're.
So all SKU would be selling is the equipment.
They have their.
SKU will be selling their equipment that's in the building. The new brewery will be taking on the installment sale of our equipment. So SKU just paid that down to a certain level, but I'm envisioning that agreement will just change names more or less.
So SKU does not own any of the property to be, that would be the agreement.
Right, and I don't think the startup is in that position to buy anything already, except what they have to do. It's stupid. Out of the picture.
We are working, this is making sure that they have to, and because this is third brewery, in this building. We just need to
And I mean, each time it's getting better from our point of view, and the SKU is basically correct. So it's not like it's a terrible financial situation for us, so we do have the ability to enter into agreement and be on positive. But
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to get the bids and see, I mean, ultimately to do the work, I think it, some level of comfort that it's gonna continue on with it as a brewery, because some of this work just needs to be done, and some of it may not make as much sense if the building changed uses, so. Or maybe done in a different way, so I think to get the bids for now and see where, and then hopefully we'll have more information on the transition to make, by the time we need to make the final approval to go forward with the renovation. So with that, any questions or any other comments related to going out to bid with the specifications that were shared here? Motion to approve. Gerb, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to the executive director's report.
So highlights for December, seems like a short month with the holidays. But we've been, again, doing a lot of work with Kristen and the chamber. To continue to bring everything under the same umbrella, which includes working on the member investor network, which we'll talk about a little later. And then initiating a tourism strategic plan. So since there's going to be more emphasis on tourism and having a tourism department and someone solely dedicated to tourism. And the recreation development, it just made sense to kind of have that plan in place on how do we proceed with marketing and development of tourism. Property revitalization, that continues to be very busy. We've had approximately 10 people download the Glenfield packet, and Shai's had. We have 3 tours this week. And we just continue to have interest. These are tours with actual, which is great. People that have experience with doing housing and lodging projects. So the word is getting out across the state. I've had a couple of messages on LinkedIn actually about the project. So we're excited to get some of those letters of interest. And then in the beginning of December, I had the privilege of attending a really cool conference in St. Petersburg, Florida. I went representing Drum Country, New York, so the Tri-County Partnership. My registration was covered by National Grid. They were a big sponsor of the event, and all travel expenses were covered by Drum Country. There were about 6 other economic development folks across New York State that went as well. In this conference, it was called the Area Development Consultants Forum. So it's a conference that brings together all of these site selectors across the US. So these are the people that work with large companies in finding new sites for their company or for expansions. So it was a very the conversations were much higher caliber than what we talk about here in Lewis County. Like, for example, I met a guy that manages a 9,000 acre commerce park. So like, these are the types of people that were there. So definitely larger conversations than what we talk here in our area, but just really cool perspective and really great learning experience. And of course, you meet people from all over the country, we're just working on huge projects. So it was really, really fun conference, got to spend some time in Florida for a couple of days, so you can't complain. Really great. professional development. Any other questions?
What is BPR?
Vacant property revitalization, sorry,
No, it's okay.
there's a lot. of
So many
acronyms.
acronyms,
I know.
that one just escaped me.
Yeah, so some of these grant programs that we're launching through the LCDC, we're waiting on funds to be able to launch those. We're still finalizing the application process and of course, doing as best as we can without our programs during the year, so hopefully we'll get those launched here in the near future.
I do have one more. This. Yes, CRM, did we buy that and
Yes.
where are we at? with
Yes. So. It's definitely a learning curve, the process or the system is. Jenna has been able to jump into it mostly because when entrepreneurs fill out the BBA Lewis County survey, it automatically inputs into our CRM. Since she's gone on maternity, I've taken on some of those meetings. Shy is getting more into the CRM. So we're taking it step by step. So utilizing it for our entrepreneurs, it's really great because you can email them directly through the CRM and it tracks just all your notes and conversations. Next step is to kind of figure out like where to keep everyone in the system and then integrating some of the IDA services, LCDC services, and keeping track of those things. So yeah, if we use it, it's very, very helpful.
And there's good built-in training opportunity with it. Is that's been, I've gone through 2 CRMs in my career and some are better than others.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just wondered.
there's a lot of training, since it's a Microsoft program, so there's a lot that you can some of it's very. You need one of their. Of course. Sure, more training you want from them. you can change that. But yeah, we are definitely getting our feet wet with it and it's very. It's future.
Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Moving on to correspondence.
Yeah, I just wanted to include these 2 pieces. Since we are still in a retainer contract with Barclay Damon for, they help us with policies, just random questions that we have relating to IDAs, LBCs. We are working with a solar company that is going to be coming to us for incentives. This is just a conflict waiver, but I just like just making all aware. Nothing too crazy or exciting. And then the EDC letter. So I just wanted to share this with you all. We are a member of the New York State Economic Development Council. I sit on their board of directors. And this is just a list of all the things that this organization has accomplished in the past year. This is the entity that hosts all of our conferences and IDA academies and just a really great statewide organization that's really advocating for economic development organizations across New York State. Again, they don't focus on the business side, it's focused on making our lives easier, like we're trying to do economic development in our communities. So I just wanted to share that with you. Also, next fall, the EDC is hosting an IDA Academy at Three Willows in Lewis County. The EDC is hosting their fall IDA Academy at Three Willows.
Cause he was here for your,
Yep, so it'll be great. People from all across New York will come to listen and St. Edge and.
Great.
Shake your hands.
You had a date?
No, I think it's, maybe not, November. It was November.
it could have been August.
Probably October, November-ish.
Great. So, and if there's no questions on correspondence, we'll move on to new business.
Yeah, so just wanted to share some strategic plan updates. Past 2 years, we've done a separate like budget workshop and strategic plan thing, but with everything being so busy and the transition and really not a lot of new things being launched this year. Just want to remind you guys that when we created our strategic plan, it was a 3-year plan. So 2023 is the 3rd year. So at the end of this year, we're gonna have to revamp our plan, which is great timing because of the merger and bringing in people under that umbrella. So just wanted to provide you guys with some strategic plan updates for 2023. Zoom in a little, Keely. So under developing partnerships, again, it's a lot of sustaining what we've already done. Leveraging the knowledge of our business community, our economic development partners, and then facilitating external relationship building. New goals for partnerships, obviously our organizational structure, properties, property redevelopment is going to be a huge partner effort. And then partnering with the chamber on that tourism strategic plan. Research and education. We're focused on benchmarking and research development. So looking at other communities, what's working well there, what's being implemented here. Staff professional development, understanding our communities, and then creating the entrepreneurial ecosystem, which is our DDA in this county program. Not much new under this pillar, other than the tourism promotion and development benchmarking. Policy, so this is where we look to continue to develop our IDA and ODC policies and incentive programs, and then develop and support creative economic development policies on the local, regional, and state level. New goals for 2023, as we discussed at our last governance committee meeting, updating our UTEP, not just solar, but our generic UTEP to meet the needs of today's economy. And then naturally Lewis policy development. Outreach and visibility. So we're focused on the business outreach, community outreach, targeted external outreach, evolving our brands, and then incorporating really great events, new goals. Again, continuing to create those targeted events. We're looking to revamp the Adam Next Tuck Hill, visitors guides, and then really creating that Naturally Lewis incorporated marketing plan and brand guidelines. But continuing, having Kaylee on board now, like really, she's working on revamped marketing plans for Naturally Lewis and Adam Next Tuck Hill. We have a really good events calendar in place that we're touching on a bunch of different sectors throughout the community, which has been really great. Those are things that we're going to continue to sustain. And then strategic funding development, this is where a lot of the new stuff is being implemented. So under this is where we needed to continue to look at operational funding, how do we sustain ourselves, how do we create more external funding opportunities for our business community, and then where do we invest our dollars in the community. So new goals, obviously we need to continue to look at the operational funding for the Naturally Lewis organization. We're launching the new member investor network. through the chamber, but marketing it through Naturally Lewis, which will in turn be an operational revenue stream for us. Launch the community economic development programs, property revitalization programs. We're gonna apply for 300,000 CDBG funds to launch another launch seed grant program. Continued efforts for property revitalization. Again, is there anything that we can invest in? And then continue to identify other sources of revenue to continue to fund all these grant programs that we are creating. And then I added this one, sustaining the organization. So a lot of the next coming months is going to be continue to clarify staff roles. We need to really work on the 501(c)(3) board of directors and continuing to sustain IDA and LDC tourism boards. Create that member investor network and then renewing our strategic plan for 2023. So a lot of work to be done with the organization. A lot of work to be done financially. Launching all these programs, but all good stuff. And would be happy to hear your thoughts and if you have other ideas for us, places where we should put our efforts. And focus. Any questions?
Any other questions? I think it's good, like we spent a lot of time on this the last time around, right? And it's hard to believe it's been 3 years already, but it's good to see the progress and you know, recognize the recognize the value in taking our time to revisit this, right? It's easy for things like this to kind of get put on the back burner in organizations, so making sure we stay on top of it.
Yeah, at the end of this coming year, I would like to put the 3 years like all together and point out like what are the specific goals that have been accomplished? What are the ones that never or didn't happen or they didn't work? Because there are a few things that we identified as a goal, but then we realized, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, we're shifting focus. So we'll do that at the end of this year.
Anything else?
Kaylee, do you want to bring up, is there any way you can bring up the draft? Member investor network page. So just wanted to, Kristen, would love for you to chime in here. So like I mentioned, we are launching the new member investor network in partnership with the chamber. So we are marketing it through Naturally Lewis. And we have created a whole new new member levels.
Yeah, current benefits, perks, really streamline what a membership is and created new levels because obviously there are businesses at very different points in their life cycle. So making sure that somebody that's just starting out has a place that fits in the program and somebody that's been established for 100+ years has a place that fits the program as well. The first one is engage. This is, are you starting a business or organization? So kind of coming up into or maybe reorganizing your organization. And this would be similar to what we've had regarding like a base package with the chamber previously. Evolve is you're really stepping up and taking your business to another level, not just reorganizing it. And you want to get more of the partner benefits. So this is where the DBA consultants come into play. You're gonna be able to get discounts off of using their services, et cetera.
And this is where the merge of services comes into play. We've struggled with, like, the way our DBA program is set up now is like any and all businesses can come in and will subsidize the cost of some of those services. Which is great, but we're finding that it actually does make more sense to put it as a member benefit, because then it's a revenue stream to help pay for some of those services. So if a business comes in and takes advantage of all sorts of different consultants, like they're saving a ton of money by paying $300 a year versus thousands of dollars and utilizing consultants. So this is really for the businesses who want to develop more. They need a new marketing strategy. They need a new brand. They're really looking to grow. This is the level for them.
And then impact is, okay, you're established and you want to invest, and you want to be part of what Naturally Lewis is doing in the community. The benefits under this are customized, so they come in and sit down with Brittany or I and really look at what their goals are and how we can help them reach those goals.
Yeah, this is like the manufacturers and the larger not-for-profits and you know, just the really established businesses that don't.
They don't need a listing on a website somewhere. Like, they need, they want to be.
Yeah, they want to be part of it.
And then we've always had an individual membership at the Chamber of Commerce, just somebody on their own who wants to invest in the community. But they're not an organization and they're not gonna pay $1,000 necessarily. So this kind of gives them an opportunity to donate what they are able to. And obviously you can see if there's 25, 50, 75, 100 or other. So whatever they're comfortable with, but if they want to invest, if they have that opportunity, so.
So we're still working on some kinks, finalizing the messaging and the marketing. Plan is to put out a press release tomorrow. There will be an email sent to all existing members talking about what this means. And asking them to renew. It's going from paper, like filling out a paper form, to online to help people. Some people who who don't want to do it at home, even when I'm coming in. For that form.
Is it calendar year? So everyone renews at the same time. So right now you haven't had anybody renew for 23 or.
On Hagen Farm, Mary Rumble popped in the other day and she wanted in, so we used her as our guinea pig on the.
I noticed it's using Stripe. Is that gonna charge the business or?
It does, it's a fee from us.
It's a fee.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
You'll
from
need
us.
it, okay.
Yep.
I think it's exciting to see where it goes. I still think, you know, there's businesses that pay more than $130 to get their name on a Little League jersey. So I think that's still really good bargain for the value of it. So I think going forward, it'll be good to visit that, but you gotta start somewhere.
Well, please include that in your messaging.
That's what we need is t-shirts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this small business obviously has a lot of pressures on it, but we have businesses that are very, helpful for youth events and stuff like that, and that's just seems like a drop in the bucket.
Is the digital business directory exist now or?
Yes, there is one on the Adirondacks.com site. When you go under the Lewis County Chamber header, there's a business directory, but it just makes so much more sense to have it on the Naturally Lewis page,
Right.
and then the Adirondacks Tug Hill will be a solely tourism based. So if it's a tourism business that signs up, they'll be listed on both websites.
But currently the business directory isn't.
We can have it linked on our website and then those numbers start, we want new information from all the members, just to make sure everything is accurate, so once you have enough members to 2023, it'll go under this town administrator list.
We've also narrowed down the number of the categories. Cause I think there was 30 or 50 categories for businesses to choose previously, and it's just was too much. So we narrowed it down to attractions and experiences, health and wellness, agriculture and local foods, community organization, businesses, lifestyle and professional services, manufacturing and retail. And after looking at the current database and the numbers that we have, they do all fit nicely into those categories.
Cool.
Exciting stuff.
Any questions? All right, so. Oh, we do have an item for executive session, okay. And what's it? Okay, so property, so we will need a motion to go into executive session to discuss property contracts.
Yeah.
Motion from her, second. Tom, all in favor?
And Kevin, I don't think we can keep you in. But I don't think we necessarily need you, no offense.
All right. All right, we're out of executive session. And we are would be looking for a motion to adopt the purchase agreement that was drafted last year between Black River Valley Natural and the Lewis County Development Corporation. And utilize that same purchase agreement to move forward with the sale of the property to Black River Valley Naturals. Motion from Tom, second. Second from Herb. Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so I believe that was the last item on the agenda. Anything else for the meeting? All right, with that, we'll take the motion to adjourn. Darlene, second. All in favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.